Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Sri Guru Samhita. The Legend of the Supreme Guru. Original in Marathi by Sri Gangadhar Saraswati. Composition in Sanskrit by His Holiness Sri 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 Vasudevananda Saraswati, also known as Tembe Maharaj. Chapter 14. Averting the Fear of Death. 2. Sayam Deva, caused by the Muslim Nawab. Salutations to Lord Ganapati. Salutations to Lord Dattatreya. The ardent disciple Namadharaka said to Guru Siddha out of curiosity, O Master, I am asking this again out of affection. Please tell me. 2. Praise be to you, O highly knowledgeable saint of saints. O ocean of knowledge, praises be to you. O Guru Siddha, what happened next? Please tell me. This story will lead to an increase in my knowledge. 3. You said earlier that the Supreme Guru showed mercy on the ailing Brahmin and relieved him of the dreadful disease. Please describe to me in detail the story of what happened next. 4. Hearing his disciples' words, Guru Siddha was very pleased. He happily proceeded to describe the Kamadhenu like Sri Guru Charitra. 5. Guru Siddha said, O great disciple, listen. The Supreme Guru accepted Bhiksha at Sayam Deva's house and was extremely pleased. 6. The Brahmin Sayam Deva had completely understood the etiquette of serving the Supreme Guru with profound devotion. He served the Supreme Guru using various means. The Supreme Guru was very happy with everything Sayam Deva did. 7. The Supreme Guru called Sayam Deva unto him and said, O Sayam Deva, I am very happy with your devotion and service. I have developed deep affection for you. All future generations of your family shall be my dear devotees. 8. Hearing the Supreme Guru's words, Sayam Deva bowed to the Supreme Guru's feet and saluted him humbly again and again. He said to the Supreme Guru with great reverence. 9. Sayam Deva said, O Supreme Guru, praise be to you. Praise be to you. You seem like a human being to us because of Maya, that is illusion. In reality, you are the very incarnation of Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Even the Vedas cannot describe your amazing legend. 10. You are omnipresent. That is, you are present in every place in the whole world. You are the very manifestation of Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. You have come here in the form of a man to deliver your devotees from the afflictions of this world. 11. O Lord, we are not competent to describe your wonderful legend. O Master, I have just one request. Please listen to it. 12. Whoever is born in my family, please bless them so that they have steadfast devotion towards you. Please bless them so that they are happy and contented with children and grandchildren. And finally, grant themselves salvation. 13. Thus, Swayam Deva prayed to the Supreme Guru, saluting him and humbly continued, O Lord, I am working for a Muslim Nawab. He is very cruel, just like a Rakshasa, that is demon. 14. Every year he kills one Brahmin and eats him for fun. He is a man-eater. O Lord, he has now enthusiastically invited me in order to kill me and eat me as well. 15. As soon as I go to him, he is bound to kill me. I have now sought refuge at your feet. How can death come upon me like this? 16. Please be the firm and steadfast devotion exhibited by Sayam Deva. The Supreme Guru placed his hand on Sayam Deva's head in assurance and said, O Sayam Deva, do not fear, do not worry, do not grieve. 17. Go to the Nawab. As fierce as he may be, you do not fear. He will definitely be happy to see you and later with affectionately send you back to me here. 18. Until you come back safely from him, I shall wait here itself. After you happily come back from there, I shall leave from this place. 19. You are my most trusted devotee. Similarly, all your forthcoming generation shall also be my devotees. You shall achieve fulfillment of all your wishes and desires. Your family tree shall grow well. 20. Your children and grandchildren shall all live happily. You will obtain eternal wealth and prosperity. Everyone in your family shall be healthy and long lived. 21. Thus obtaining several boons from the Supreme Guru, the Brahmin Swayamdeva was pleased. He then immediately went to the Nawab, as was his duty. 22. The Nawab looked just like Yama, the Lord of Death. He was eagerly awaiting the arrival of the Brahmin Swayamdeva. As soon as he saw Swayamdeva, he became enraged like a ball of fire. 23. The Nawab looked at Swayamdeva angrily, turned away and immediately went inside his inner apartments. The Brahmin Swayamdeva was initially frightened and surprised, but then he meditated on the Supreme Guru in his mind. 24. Even if an insect is very angry, can it go and touch the raging flames? Similarly, whatever can this evil man do unto a person who is the recipient of the Supreme Guru's benevolence? 25. Even if it is very angry, how can a snake ever swallow even the small fledglings of the Garuda, that is hawk? Similarly, what can the Nawab do unto a person who is protected by the Supreme Guru's mercy? 26. Even if an elephant is the very Airavata itself, that is the celestial elephant, can it still attack and catch the lion? Similarly, even though the Nawab was fierce looking like the inferno of death, what could he do unto the person who was protected by the shield of the Supreme Guru's blessings? 27. When a person constantly meditates on the Supreme Guru in his mind, how can he ever have an exhibit extreme fear on his face? No, even death cannot bother him. When this is the case, how can untimely death ever bother that ardent devotee of the Supreme Guru? 28. When the Supreme Guru's devotee does not fear even death, how can he ever fear a common Nawab? A person protected by the Supreme Guru's benevolence does not fear even Lord Yama, the god of death. 29. Meanwhile, the Nawab had entered his inner apartments in a state of fright and deep shock. A sort of deep sleep came over him and he lost consciousness. 30. After a while, he partially regained consciousness. He felt much torment in his soul. He began to suffer a sort of weariness and fatigue and felt as if the life force was being dragged out of him. He began to experience extreme stress and anxiety. 31. The Nawab was struggling in a state of semi-consciousness. He began to scream in this state that the Brahmin was cutting up his entire body into pieces with some weapon. He was in a state of deep pain, sorrow and shock. 32. The Nawab soon regained consciousness. He remembered the Brahmin Swayamdeva and ran towards him crying. His body was trembling in shock. He fell at the feet of Swayamdeva and said, "You are my master and lord." 33. Who asked you to come here? Please go back to your own home immediately. Saying thus, the Nawab gave the Brahmin lots of clothes and jewels and sent him back. 34. The Brahmin Swayamdeva happily returned to his village as fast as he could. He immediately went to the banks of Godavari to obtain darshan of the Supreme Guru. 35. Seeing the Supreme Guru there, Swayamdeva saluted him with great reverence and devotion, praised him with various chants, and then related to him all the events that had occurred. 36. The Supreme Guru was extremely pleased. He blessed Swayamdeva and assured him with kind words. He later said, "I shall now begin my journey towards the south. There are numerous pilgrimage sites at every spot there." 37. Hearing the Supreme Guru's words, the Brahmin Swayamdeva folded his hands, bowed his head and saluted the Supreme Guru. He said, "O Master, I am your humble servant. I shall follow you wherever you go." 38. O Divine Lord, forsaking your divine feet, I cannot live even for a second. O ocean of benevolence, you are the emancipator of all people. 39. Just as the celestial Ganga came down to the earth to deliver the children of King Sagara unto salvation, so have you come down onto this earth to grant darshan to common folk like us and deliver them from the afflictions of this world. Note, it was stated in the note for chapter 1, verse 41 and 42, that sage Bhagirath performed severe penance and brought down the celestial river Ganga in order to emancipate his forefathers and lead them into heavens. Bhagiratha's forefathers were the sons of King Sagara. They had been cursed by sage Kapila and reduced to ashes. Once the heavenly Ganga flowed over those ashes, all the kings were emancipated from their sins and they attained the heavenly abode. That large collection of water became known as Sagara, that is the ocean. 40. O Bhaktavatsala, that is friend of the devotees, who can really gauge the extent of your fame? Please do not leave me here. I shall come with you immediately, saying the Swayamdeva firmly held on the Supreme Guru's feet. 41. Hearing his humble prayers, the Supreme Guru was extremely pleased. He then said to Swayamdeva the following. 42. The Supreme Guru said, I am going to the southern regions for a specific reason. There are numerous pilgrimage sites in the south. I shall grant you darshan again after 15 years. 43. Then I shall permanently reside near your village itself. At that time you can come with your wife, children, friends and relatives to obtain my darshan. 44. Do not worry, all your troubles are over. Live happily. Saying this, the Supreme Guru placed his hand on Swayamdeva's head in blessings and assurance and said to him, Know this to be the truth. 45. Assuring him thus, the Supreme Guru sent Swayamdeva back home and proceeded forward along with his disciples. From there, the Guru arrived at the holy Vaidyanatha pilgrimage site. The presiding deity there is goddess Arogya Bhavani. That is another name for goddess Parvati. 46. The Supreme Guru visited several holy pilgrimage sites along with his disciples. Later, he stayed incognito at Vaidyanatha site for several days. 47. Hearing Guru Siddha's words, Namadharaka asked him, O Master, why did the Supreme Guru live incognito there? Where did his numerous disciples live? 48. Hearing Namadharaka's words, Guru Siddha explained everything to him in detail. Wherever Guru Siddha told, Namadharaka has been narrated by Gangadhar's son Saraswati in the Kamadhenu like Sri Guru Charitra. 49. The remaining story in the Guru Charitra is very vast and detailed. It is very interesting to tell and to listen. O dear people, please pay attention and listen to the story with a firm and devotional mind. Thus ends chapter 14 in the Jnana Kanda in the dialogue between Guru Siddha and Namadharaka in the text known as the Legend of Narsimha Saraswati, authored by Gangadhar's son Saraswati in the Marathi language as Sri Guru Charitra and referred to as Sri Guru Samhita, composed in the Sanskrit language by His Holiness Sri Vasudevananda Saraswati. Om Tat Sat. Mantrahina, Kriyahina, Bhaktihina, Kshamapate. Om Sri Krishnarpanamastu.